Well, as is common of me, I put off doing the podcast until the absolute last second, so I'm just kind of scrambling to get it all done and get it together. Anybody else deal like that with stuff? I was like that in school a lot.
Shut up. I'm embarrassed.
Oh my god, it was the funniest article I've ever read in my entire life.
I watched a couple of compilation videos on YouTube. I've got it all figured out.
You're listening to the No Big Banana Podcast.
Welcome back to the No Big Banana Podcast. My name is Charles, and this evening I will once again be flying solo. I say this evening because that's when I'm recording it. It could be the morning or the afternoon where you're listening to it. But either way, I hope you're having a good one. I hope you're being safe and doing the best you can to deal with this nonsense that is COVID. God, it's like Voldemort. I feel like we're not even supposed to say it out loud. If you say it out loud, then you admit it exists, right? It's just really annoying. It's just like, we should have done something the first week of February. We didn't do anything the first week of February. We did nothing as a nation for several weeks. And then now we're just doing all of this ridiculous catch up, and it's just dumb, man. And if people feel like their freedoms are being encroached upon, whatever. I mean, I guess you have like an Apple iPhone that has like facial and thumbprint recognition, and you have a social security number and a driver's license, but don't let them put a mask on you, bro. That's the first sign of true tyranny. But I don't want to talk too much about like politics or current events, really. I just wanted to talk about anime, because that's the whole idea, right, for the new format, is to talk about anime. So let's do that. Oh, and earlier, while I'm pulling up my Crunchyroll queue so I could talk about the shows that I want to talk about, earlier I was talking about how I always am scrambling at the last minute. That's the people say like I thrive under pressure. That's seemingly the only way that I operate, just in general. I have to be like completely losing my mind and trying to get something done at the last minute to be worth a dang. Everybody's just doing the best they can. Okay, anyway, so anime. What am I watching right now? Okay, so I'm currently watching Fire Force, which of course is awesome. If anybody's staying up to date with that shit is really cool. I just saw episode 4 that just came out recently. That was the most recent one, I think. I'm not sure. I don't remember what days it comes out. I think it comes out on Friday. Anyway, the 5th pillar is involved now. That shit is super dope. I'm watching ReZero. I started watching that per Justin's recommendation. Oh, you know what? By the way, hold on a moment. Let's talk about Justin. Let's talk about this guy left your boy in the lurch once again. I already got one of those clowns moved off to Colorado. Now I got to deal with another one who lives down the street and yet couldn't make it to the podcast. So here I am, sitting here like a goofball at 3 o'clock in the morning, the day of the podcast. So this will come out at noon. And I'm all alone, all by myself. It's very weird. Justin, you should feel bad. You've left me, you've hung me out to dry, sir. But what he has not hung me out to dry on is his anime recommendations. I must say, top notch. ReZero, per his recommendation, really, really fucking cool. If you like anime and you haven't seen ReZero, I highly recommend it. It's about this guy whose name is Subaru. So first of all, let's talk about that. Why? I mean, I guess, yeah, sure, it's a Japanese name. I guess in Japan, it's like, it would make way more sense. I guess that wouldn't be different than like an American person having the last name Ford or Chevrolet, the god of high school. That's really cool too. That's on the 4th episode. Black Clover, I'm into the late 80s. Actually, it looks like per my queue, I'm on episode 88. I want to say a few things about Black Clover. So I think that it's a really great show. I love all of the characters. I think that there's some really cool fight scenes. I like the whole aesthetic and the idea behind the creation of the show. It's great. I think that there's something for everyone. Charmy is just, I love her so much. And also, I'm a huge fan of Klaus and the glass guy from the Golden Dawn, but I can't think of his name. He's pretty cool. But the thing I don't like about Black Clover, first and foremost, is that there's way too much wasted fucking time. And what I mean by that is, like, in anime, you're already starting behind the 8 ball in terms of the time you're spending, because you have to, if you don't watch it, skip the intro, which is a minute and a half of the 23 or 24 minute episode as a whole. Black Clover has this whole intro where they basically tell you the origin story for the 88th time for the first minute, and then they do a recap of the episode that you just fucking watched. Now, I understand having recaps when it's live, or even when it's weekly. Even if it's just coming out weekly, I understand the recaps. But this is just my opinion, maybe it's an unpopular one, but I think that shit should be taken out, once it's aired after a certain amount of time. And I get, yeah, sure, like obviously people worked hard on it, but with the recaps, the long ridiculous intro is one thing. The music is cool for those things. I usually skip them, but sometimes I'll watch them. The original Fire Force version of the intro song was really cool. Then they changed it to something really wacky that I didn't like at all. So with Black Clover, you've got the intro, which is a minute. You've got the actual intro, the musical intro, I should say, which is another minute and a half. And then you've got the recap. So you've got like the origin story, and then the intro, and then the recap, and then, you're 4.5 minutes into the show, and it's just starting. And then the ending is just kind of waste because it's at the outro, nothing really happens. And then they do like a little like chibi thing at the end, which is like, okay, whatever. So that's an annoying thing about Black Clover. That needs to be fixed, just in my opinion. The other thing that's really annoying about Black Clover is that they seem to waste a lot of space. And boy, I sure bet Justin wishes that he was here to be able to refute any of this. But he's not, so I'm just going to say it. Because I already know what he's going to say. Justin is going to say, because he already said it to me. Well, the thing is, when you're under pressure and you've got to put out a show weekly. Yeah, I get that. Trust me. I put out a show weekly. I know what you mean. I know what that kind of desire to continue to pump out content is. And obviously, if you've got, other people that are funding it, then you've got an expectation to live up to. But so much of there's so many moments in Black Clover. It's not so much of it. I think that for the most part, I'd say like 90% of what I've watched so far is just really quality. But the 10% is just like these little episodes, like the whole 2-episode arc about Yami and William Vengeance. And it's like, yeah, I get it. It's cool to see Yami flex, and like that's cool, like their origin stories. But you could have told that story in like 3 minutes, and you did it in 2 episodes for whatever reason. And maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe it came from a creative place, and that's how the writers wanted to do it, and that's how it was done. It just feels out of place to me. And it feels rushed as well. Like it feels obvious that they were just trying to get another one out for next week. And for me, it's just like, I would rather, and I've done it before. I've missed episodes of D&D, the D&D edition, because... Oh, in fact, you know what? Here's a little inside baseball for anybody out there that's a fan of the channel. We did English edition. We actually filmed English edition a long time before that, and it was a totally different script. Well, it wasn't totally different, but it wasn't like what the actual video is. And we filmed it, and I didn't like it so much that we just skipped it. We didn't release that edition that week. And so who knows, maybe if you're held over a barrel by a bunch of producers, like a production company and somebody that's funding your project, it's, tough shit. Creativity doesn't matter. I mean, who knows? Maybe the writers are embarrassed about those. Maybe the writers are aware that they feel rushed and just out of place. But there's just so many really cool arcs. Like you have the cool, like underwater temple arc. And then there's just like, it just feels goofy and clunky to do like the slice of life stuff, like over the course of several episodes, I guess. And then you go right back into this really fucking badass arc. And it's like, what were those episodes? Like, I guess maybe those episodes act as a buffer as well to like, they know they're going to create this next cool arc. And I will say that from a storyline perspective, they do a pretty good job of making you feel like you're always in action. My Hero Academia does a really good job of that as well. But I guess with the wasted time, I'm looking at, now that I've watched ReZero, and I'm looking at how ReZero does things. ReZero is the shit. First of all, there's no recap. There's no wasted time with that. As soon as you start the episode, you're starting the new episode. Then it goes right into the story. It gets right into the story, and it gives you a little bit of an intro. Just enough to kind of like set everything up. And then you have the musical intro, which is, a minute and a half, whatever it is, the standard for anime. Then you go right into the story, and the episode goes all the way through to the end, including through the outro credits. So the outro credits run as more story is being told. So ReZero goes from like second 0 to, 24:30, whatever the episode is, and nothing is rehashed, nothing is wasted. It's just so good. I think that it should be the standard for anime. That's just where I'm at with ReZero and Black Clover. And far be it from me to like tell people how to make anime. I only recently got into it as much as I am. I mean, I've always liked anime. I just kind of fell out of it, and then now I've gotten back into it and have started watching all this new stuff. The Misfit of Demon King Academy. Oh my God. If you're not watching that, don't know what to tell you, dude, because it is so good. I want 100 episodes of that. Basically, it's about this guy so first of all, it's set in like a demon world, which already cool. Everybody's demons. And it's kind of like your standard setup where there's like this entrance exam for this prestigious academy, and the academy is the Demon Lord Academy. And I guess the idea is that they're going through all of these people to see who the next like one true demon lord is. And the protagonist, his name is Anos Voldegod, and he claims to be the true demon lord. The one true demon lord that will rule them all. And nobody believes him because there's like a name thing going on where they think that the one true demon lord's name is something that's not Anos Voldegod. It's something completely different. Anyway, anybody that he runs into, he completely proves wrong almost immediately because his powers are off the fucking chain. He spins a castle on his finger as you would a basketball. Maybe you didn't hear me properly. He spins a castle upon his finger as you would a basketball. And then he throws it. Oh man, he is, I mean, if you want to talk about like cool flexes, also props to somebody for like giving us a real like evil protagonist. I mean, I'm sure that there are more like within that genre that do the same kind of thing, but it's really cool to get to see like the villain side of the story. Monster Girl Doctor. That's another one that I've been having a lot of fun with watching. The newest one was about the Flesh Golem. And I'm looking forward to the new anime that's coming out that will be coming out soon. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Comes back, I think, in October. Oh, speaking of October, that's when the Demon Slayer movie comes out. I can't get enough of that. But I should say a few more things about ReZero because that's really good. If you don't know what it is, it's about this guy who, it's like an isekai genre. He goes to a fantasy world, except that it's kind of like Groundhog Day, but it's way more violent and sad version of Groundhog Day because he dies a lot and it's always like horrific or emotional or like really heavy, but he keeps coming back and having to start over. And it's as you would expect in that kind of paradigm. You would just try and alter your decision making and change the way that you do things until things work out for the better. And in his case, he's just trying to work it out so that he doesn't die. And that no one around him that he's come to learn and know and love dies. Which is actually, that's a really interesting thing too. And that they did capture that, I think, in Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day wasn't just all ha-has. Wasn't all just for funnies, folks. I think it was a deep existential film, and it did touch on that briefly, just that idea of like, what kind of sadness and solitude would there be in having to relive everything over and over, in particular considering that no one around you remembers that you're doing it over and over. So as they're saying and doing things with you, they're not going to retain any of that information. That would actually be really horrifying. That sounds like some kind of hell. But it's portrayed in a really creative and interesting way in ReZero. And I like all of the characters in it. Amelia is nice. Puck is cool. The twins, Ren and Ram, are cool. Ram and Ram. But Beatrice, Beatrice is really fucking cool. I like characters that have sort of like a tick about them too in terms of things that they say. And Beatrice always says, I suppose. Like no matter what it is. She'll be like, you're pissing me off, I suppose. It's pretty cool. And then Roswell, I think is the guy's name. He's the Lord of the Manor or whatever. And he's like a weird clown guy. He's pretty cool, I guess. And then Subaru, of course, the main character, which, I mean, he's kind of a goober. But typically I find that in anime that the protagonist is a bit of a goober at first, but then eventually becomes, oh, dude, Deku totally took me by surprise. I never thought that I would like Deku as much as I do. For My Hero Academia. Also, speaking of which, I've seen 2 My Hero Academia shirts in the last 2 days, which is really weird because I never see that kind of stuff. I've been seeing more and more of that stuff lately. I mean, that's good. It's great that it's getting out there. Gotta High School is really crazy, particularly this week's episode. If anybody's watching Gotta High School, I don't know if you saw this about this girl. I think her name's Mira. Just like all of a sudden, she's gonna randomly marry this guy. It was very strange. It didn't seem to also have anything to do with anything that had happened up to that point. But I don't like that. I don't like her attitude of just like, oh yeah, this is a great. I mean, you know, if you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. Shield Hero. Shield Hero comes back sometime soon too, and that I'm really excited about because Shield Hero, of all of the ones I've watched, Shield Hero is touches a special place just because, you know, this guy feels like the whole universe is against him. He's the ultimate underdog in terms of, you know, establishing, because, you know, a lot of times like in My Hero Academia, like Deku's an underdog, but yeah, kinda. Like he has a lot of good support. He has a lot of good support where it counts. And then, you know, you look at Shield Hero and like he has zero support. And obviously like he gains support from, you know, Raftalia and Philo, and I mean, he earns support, but I mean, he really is truly, completely, and utterly alone, and having to fight back through all of that. And that stuff, man, I mean, the Japanese certainly know how to tell stories. Just really like gut-wrenching, just like heart-wrenching stories, and stuff that's like super relatable. I don't know, I just like the idea of like the agony of these circumstances that you wouldn't think would be agony. Like the idea of reliving stuff over and over. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you really analyze it, like, yeah, it's most likely going to result in something that's sad and scary. But, I mean, when you get down to it the way that they do in ReZero, that shit is something else. And, yeah, My Hero Academia will be back, I guess, at some point. I don't know. Has it been pushed back? Does anybody know? Has it been pushed back until 2021? Because that's sad. I know a bunch of stuff got pushed back because of the coronavirus, COVID-19, just fucking wrecking the earth. Also, we're more than halfway through this year, and it feels like it's been 10 years. Does that seem accurate? I look back at like some of the stuff that was going on at the beginning of this year, and I'm just like, is this really? Are we really? Is this? Oh, you know what? I have to just say this out loud because it just came to me. Kanye seemingly is out of his fucking mind. Now, I know I joke around on here a lot about like, yeah, we're going to vote for Kanye, but like on the real tip, Kanye needs some serious help. Some assistance. Some of the shit that he is saying is just like not things that are said by stable people. And I think that being around the Kardashians has probably exacerbated his mental health issues. Because as someone who deals with it myself, and I think that a lot of creative people deal with it, actually, I think a lot of people in general deal with it. There's, you know, I mean, obviously we would, genetically speaking, like we couldn't all be perfect. We couldn't all be even good. Like there's so fucking many of us that just like statistically, chances are good, you're going to come out, something's going to be fucky. And if it's not something that's physical, then it's going to be in your brain. And if it's in your brain, if nobody checks you on it or nobody gets you help for it, you could just go your whole life just being a wacko, which is pretty much what's happened with Kanye because he was so goddamn talented. And, you know, I think that when we just saw him as a musical artist, we could forgive the attitude, like even the Taylor Swift thing. It was like, okay, that was rude as fuck, but like also like, you know, whatever, that's, you know, he's a rapper and he thinks he's the shit and that's just how he's gonna be. But now, Mr. Yeezy, we have entered a new realm. We have gone beyond the pale. You're talking about running for the president of the United States, and you're saying really wacky shit. And, you know, I shouldn't say that as if it's some, like, precursor, like as if it's something that's going to disqualify you from being the president. Obviously, saying crazy shit does not disqualify you from being the president. These days, I hear you can say whatever the fuck you want and just keep on rolling and letting it go. Anyway, I hope that Kanye gets some help. What else is going on? I talked all about anime. I guess that I say all of this to lead me to talk about the anime that I ultimately want to make. And I think I might have touched base on it before, but just to reiterate, I want to write an anime in English. I want to have that translated into Japanese. Then I want the animation done and it done in Japanese, and then I want to dub it. So I'm pretty confident that there's going to be a lot lost in translation because I had written this down, and this is a perfect example of the kind of shit I'm talking about. On the newest episode of Fire Force, one of the pillars No, excuse me, not one of the pillars, but one of the bad guys, I guess. I forget what they're called. This is what the dub said, okay? Or not the dub, the sub. Gee whiz. This is what the sub said. You fire soldiers sure tie yourselves up in some inconvenient bondage games. What? You heard that right. You fire soldiers sure tie yourselves up in some inconvenient bondage games. Well, first of all, I don't think that it's fair to assume that all bondage games are inconvenient, right? They're probably very convenient for some. Also, very, very evident that something was lost in translation there. I don't know what it is she was actually trying to say, or the writer was actually trying to get across there, but whatever it was, it did not work out that way, because I can almost guarantee that that's not what it was supposed to say. That's just how it got translated over from English. So I can't wait to see how that goes down with my anime. That's going to be really fun to check out and see. Oh, those are what we call the symbols of freedom. I did it. I can't believe I was able to do it. You know what? Justin, do I even need you, bro? Do I even need you on this, saying all of your nonsense about intercourse with digital bells? I don't know what all of that is about. Anyway, I hope everybody is having a wonderful Tuesday, and I hope you're watching some anime. And, we are going to be talking about anime on Tuesdays, talking about D&D on Thursdays, and maybe here and there, popping in with the occasional update with politics. Obviously, as we get closer to the election, shit is going to get weirder and weirder. But follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at NoBigBanana, and send us any emails to nobigbanaنا@gmail.com. Just keep on trucking.